Welcome to the BLUF podcast, where you get the bottom line up front and we won't waste your time.
All right, team. Thank you for tuning in again to the CSM BLUF line. I'm your host, Command Sergeant Major Jimenez, your Garrison Command Sergeant Major here at Redstone Arsenal. And again, I want to thank you for tuning in to the podcast as we continue to grow. This is our 4th episode, and we're continuing to reach out to all our listening audience. And hopefully you can tell your friends and families out there so they can tune in and get the latest information, and also bring different subjects and topics out to you and bring people on board so we can talk to them and have a dialogue back and forth on certain subjects or areas. By all means, if you want, send us a message on what you'd like to hear or some subjects you'd like to talk about or people you'd like to maybe reach out and bring on the show so we can interview them and talk a little bit about what they might be interested in hearing and pushing out to our community and to all our personnel that work around the Redstone and out there in the surrounding areas. Again, thanks to everybody that's continuously working on combating COVID-19, staying safe out there. I just want to give a thanks to all the frontline workers out there for doing an outstanding job. Everybody else, let's continue to do our part, and that's continue to lead through this COVID-19. And, since we're talking about lead, I'd like to kind of go into leadership and talk that component. But I was able to have the opportunity to bring in Staff Sgt. Thompson is one of our NCOICs here at Redstone Arsenal. She works with the chapel services, and she is the NCOIC there at our chapel, which continues to support all our residents and all our community. And before we get started in having a conversation with Staff Sgt. Thompson, I'd like to have her introduce herself and just tell us a little bit about her. So without further ado, Staff Sgt. Thompson.
Thank you, Sergeant Major, for inviting me to do this podcast. I am truly honored to be here. So a little bit about myself. So I joined the Army in 2005. I am coming from a small town called Immokalee in Florida. It was about 45 minutes from Naples. A lot of people know Naples. My hometown is a small farming town, and we actually produce about 90% of the tomatoes and oranges.
That's pretty neat.
So, yeah. And then, so right after high school and a little bit part-time of college, I decided to join the Army. And when the recruiter talked to me, he asked me, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I want to be a teacher." And he's like, "Well, anything else?" And I'm like, "No, I just want to be a teacher." And he's like, "Well, I thought maybe becoming a chaplain assistant." And I'm like, "What is that?" He's like, "It's like a personal assistant to the priest." And I'm like, "You have priests in the Army?" And they're like, "Yeah, come over to my office. I'll show you a video. See what we'll show you." And I'm like, "Okay." And he showed me a video, and I was hooked. And that's how I joined the Army.
That's so awesome. And, I would tell you that you talk about the chaplain's assistant and the chaplain, as my former job as a battalion command sergeant major, I really relied on the chaplain, but I also relied on my religious support specialist. He or she did an outstanding job for me. And one, I want to commend you for what you do, because you guys are like the eyes and ears for all our soldiers out there. And we really appreciate everything you guys do for us.
And that's part of our job, is to, we are the eyes and ears of not just our command team, but also our whole battalion. If you're in the battalion level, we have so many people to look out for. It could be a tiring job, but at the same time, it could be rewarding once we able to help out the soldier with whatever they need. It's really rewarding at the end.
You're absolutely right. And I don't know how many times I've really counted on my religious support specialist to help me out, and me as the command sergeant major, let me know, if they heard anything that I needed to address or I needed to tell my commander on, so that we can focus in on to continue to support the mission and to continue on our readiness as an Army. But you guys really play an intricate role. I got a question for you. What is your role, since we're talking about a role, what is your role as the RSO NCOIC for the Garrison Chapel?
In my position, I run basically the daily operations here at the chapel. So, of course, not just support our Sunday services that we have here. We actually have one now, the Protestant service. on Sundays at 11. We also, if, like for an example, if the congregants want to do a ministry, they want to put in purchase requests, like, oh, we want to have a luncheon, or we want to have this Bible study, or this and that. We are here to provide that for them. Not just for the congregants, but also for the units here in the installation as well. They want to do Bible study, a luncheon, anything like that. We are here to provide them that support. Also, not just the congregants and the soldiers, but also the retirees and the personnel that work here on the installation. Basically, day-to-day operations. Pretty soon, this weekend, actually, we'll start setting up the major scene and decorating the chapel. So that put in some work in there. But yeah, just the operations.
No, that's so neat, and I really like to talk to my soldiers and all the civilians that are out here listening today too. That when we talk about fitness, right? It's the Army's always talking about physical fitness, and we do a lot of running, and we do push-ups, and we do all that. And now I'm glad that we're starting to talk about mental and spiritual fitness, because it does encompass the total concept of being a soldier. And I think with you doing what you do as a religious support specialist and the NCOIC for us here at the garrison, I think the mental and spiritual part are pretty important.
It is very important because not only just in the garrison, but also in the line unit or in the force com unit, we are out there with our soldiers, and we have to be physically fit with them as well. We can't just be sitting behind the desk all the time. We have to be out and about, because when we're out and about with our soldiers, for an example, we're in the line unit, we're out there in the field with them. We have to be physically fit. Yes, like with the new ACFT, it was hard for us females at first, but we adapt and overcome. And so, we have to do that. It was a struggle to even to right now, it is a struggle to do the leg tuck. But if you continue doing it, practicing, be consistently with it, you will improve on the leg tucks and also the other exercise for the ACFT.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, physical fitness is a big component in what we do, and then when we talk about mental and spiritual fitness, that's equally important. I know you talk about soldiers, and I'm used to talking about soldiers too. When I arrived in March, one of the most unique things here on Redstone Arsenal was the fact that we had more civilians than soldiers on the installation. Is this your first time dealing with so many civilians on the installation?
To be honest with you, Sergeant Major, no. So the installation that I have dealt with mostly civilians is actually it was in Natick, Massachusetts. So when I heard about it, I was like, "What is this place?" So I googled it, and it's the Army Soldier System Center.
Hmm.
So when I got there, I ended up finding out that that's where we actually research, develop, and engineer the uniform, the boots, the gear, the Kevlar, everything like that. Not just that, but also MREs and along with other stuff. So it was very interesting, and the majority of the civilians there are mostly have like PhDs in engineering, chemical, biochemical, all this like high tech degrees. It
Right.
was quite like overwhelming, like, oh my God, I'm surrounded by nerds. In a good way, in a good way.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome to know that you've worked with another installation that's predominantly civilian based, and now you come to Redstone Arsenal, where you got another set of people with different kinds of degrees, from engineering to IT. I mean, you name it, they're all out here doing all kinds of good stuff for ourselves, the soldiers that are out there on the field, making the mission happen. It's neat to see that the civilian workforce is equally as invested to ensuring that the soldiers can continue doing their job, and that's the civilians providing all that good work for us in support of not just the mission, but the overall country, right? To see all that happen. And for me, it was the first time to see a big, large civilian workforce. But I've learned a lot in the last like 9 months that I've been here. See how much and equally how hard they work, especially going through COVID. When I arrived, COVID hit pretty hard, and that was kind of my introduction to how we're going to continue to accomplish the mission, and also taking care of the safety and welfare of our community and our workforce here as well. And that kind of leads me into, when we talk about leadership, it, The Army's definition of leadership is the process of influencing people by providing purpose, direction, and motivation. And then it talks about while operating to accomplish the mission and improve the organization. So as we talk about leadership a little bit here, I kind of want to ask you, how do you think or plan on accomplishing the mission and improving the organization here on Redstone?
So for me, I'm trying to make like the chapel that I'm currently at. I'm trying to make it better, or there's some deficiencies. Okay, what can we do to fix it? And also when it's time for me to leave it where okay, there's nothing left behind. There's nothing where oh, okay, we need to call her up and be like, hey, what do we do? I want to leave a continuity book, an effective continuity book, where when somebody takes over, we that person can know what's going on. And also not just that, but also have a positive, how should I say it, positive vibe about whenever they mention my name. Like, oh yeah, sorry, she was great. She done this, she done that. We and also not just that, but also have a great relationship with other people that I work with outside of the chapel. Because when you have that great relationship, they're willing to help you out more, look out for you more and stuff like that.
You're absolutely right. It's how we continue to reach out and help each other as teammates, but also help the surrounding community. And I think you guys are doing an outstanding job. One, between you and the chaplain here on Redstone, we're fighting to bring services back, and I think it's an intricate role in the fitness. When we talk about fitness, the spiritual, mental fitness of our community is important, and I'm glad that you guys were able to set it up and set it up safely. Obviously, with COVID hanging out, and you guys are conducting services every Sunday at 11 o'clock, which is pretty neat, and you're doing it safely, which is an outstanding job to your leadership and the chaplain's leadership out there.
Yes,
What
I
do you,
mean, and since we started our services, we are very blessed that nobody in the congregation has tested positive for the virus or came in contact near it. So we are very blessed, and not just telling us that the measures that we are implementing is working, and hopefully continue to still receive positive people that still coming to our services.
No, that's absolutely right, and I think that's a good thing that you guys are doing, and it's really, since we talk about how to try to best avoid COVID-19, it's really been because the outstanding community and workforce, and I mean, you name everybody that comes on and off the installation has done their part to be as safe as they can with COVID hanging out. I mean, they continue to wash their hands regularly. They wear a face covering. They get within 6 feet of somebody. They cover up with their cloth face cover. They avoid touching their face. All those little things that we continue to talk about over and over and over. And sometimes we sound like a broken record. I think is important as leaders. You know what I mean? Or else we wouldn't say it over and over. And you know, you guys say it at the chapel. We say it on virtual town halls. I think it's important as leaders to continue to reinforce those good practices so that we can hopefully get over COVID.
Definitely.
Given your successes in your career, do you think it's important to show the next generation what they can accomplish?
Oh, definitely. Because when I joined, it was way different. It was way different from when I joined back in 2005. I went through multiple deployments. I see a lot of changes, not just with the gear. I mean, the uniform changes, but also, a lot more resources have been put out there for us. So, if I can do it, a 5'1" Hispanic female, you know, anybody else can do it. At first, it was a struggle because the mindset that I had, growing up in a Hispanic culture, is completely different from now because of what have I learned, throughout the years in the army. So it definitely, if I can do it, anybody can do it, or they can do it better or 5 times better than me. But at the end, as long as the mission is done, and that's what matters.
No, that's absolutely right. When you jump into being part of this great team called the United States Army, or those that work with us, we take on some pretty big roles, and it's to continue to enforce the protection, freedom that we fight for, right? And you do your part. We thank you for what you do. I think everybody plays a part in doing their part, no matter what it is. If you're working remotely, if you're working on site, caring for people or colleagues or whatever, trying to find out how to do major projects or just on the fly. I mean, you name it. It's really building this plane in flight, right? As we adjust things left and right. That's the beauty of leadership, is your ability to take something in, look at it, and if you need to adjust the direction, then you adjust direction like a compass, right? It's looking at it like that and saying, hey, well, let's slow down this, or let's pick it up, or let's take it this direction. And I think we're doing that day in, day out, and so is everybody else that works on the installation, because continue to do an outstanding job.
Also, I would like to add that, one of the successes in my career is facing adversity. Because once you face that, then you realize like, oh crap, like what do I do now? And then you think of a plan. Okay, this is what I gotta do. This is what needs to happen. This is how it needs to be done. And then you go forward, and then you learn from that experience. So that's one of my successes right there is adversity, because I experienced a lot of that in my career, and I learned from it.
You're right. Leaders motivate inside, outside, outside the chain of command, within the chain of command, soldiers helping soldiers. And when you're dealing with adversity and different things like that, it just makes you a better person as you come out through challenges, or as you face challenges, or sometimes failures. You know what I mean? Nobody's perfect. As we develop our leadership style, we see the good, we see the bad, and then when we have the opportunity to put on some stripes in the army and become a leader, then we know, or it helps us shape, when we see or when we've gone through different challenges to ensure that we show the next soldier a better way of doing things. Do you want to add anything else before we close out on leadership and some of the things you might have seen, or some that can help the next soldier out there?
So when it comes to leadership, I mean, you will be constantly learning every day when it comes to being in a leadership position. You will learn new things, how things are done differently. But also at the same time, when you're in a leadership position, just because you're in that position, you have that mindset like, okay, I'm a leader now. This is how it's going to be done. But you're still going to be learning. And also don't ask for help. That's what I see in a lot of leaders, that when they're in that leadership position, they're like, oh, I know what to do. This is how we're going to do it. But if you ask somebody else for help, they might have a better idea how to get things done, or how things have been done, and this is the correct way to do it, or whatever reason. But that's one of the things I've seen in leadership, that they don't ask for help. And if you do ask for help, your product can become better, or the mission can be more successful, or the mission can be accomplished sooner, or for whatever reason. That's what I see in a lot of leaders, and that's what I think they're afraid, is to ask for help, and that shouldn't be the case, because if you ask for help, you probably get a better result. And that's my 2 cents on that.
You're
Yeah.
right. I mean, being humble and the ability to ask someone for help. Sometimes we're a little bit too proud to do that, but I can tell you, like you said, that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be a good listener and understand other viewpoints, other perspectives,
Mhm.
which is awesome to do. And then you get a better end product versus trying to go at it by yourself. As a team, that's what makes the core of non-commissioned officers, the backbone of the Army, so strong, is because we have the ability to reach out to each other, reach out to battle buddies, reach out to peers or mentors, and ask for help. And you're right. Sometimes leaders don't do that, and I think we should do more of it, because there's always a product out there that someone's done and can help you out with it, or give you ideas on how to do it better. One, I just want to thank you, Staff Sergeant Thompson, for coming on to our CSM Bluff Line podcast and having a chance to interview you a little bit. I know it's something that we're kicking off, and hopefully we get more people on here, or hopefully we get some more subject lines, or maybe bring you back again soon. But I want to thank you for what you do out there at the chapel and providing services for all the installation here on Redstone. Thank the chaplain out there for what they do, and your whole team. Continue doing what you're doing, and happy holidays as we lean into that. I know, did we kick off an Operation Helping Hand already over there at the chapel?
Yes, we did, Sergeant Major. We did it for Thanksgiving. We collected more than 15 names
Oh, awesome.
Let me check. Actually, we collected around 24 names. So, and they came over and pick up their commissary gift cards.
Oh,
Um,
that's a great accomplishment. I just want to thank you guys for what you guys did during the Thanksgiving holidays in Operation Helping Hand. And I just want to wish you happy holidays again as we lean into Christmas holidays coming up and the new year as we close out 2020.
we also doing it again, the Operation Helping Hand for Christmas. So we'll put out the word out. Of course, the soldiers and GS 6 and below that are in financial need. Um, let your chain of command know and have them send to us their names. But we are doing it again, just an FYI.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for putting that information out. Again, thank you for what you do, and thank you for coming on to the show, the CSM Bluff Line.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Major.
Well, what a great conversation we had with Staff Sgt. Thompson from our Religious Support Office. Thank you again for tuning in to the CSM Bluff Line for conversations that we can have back and forth. My goal is to continue to communicate out to our people on different areas, different subjects, and information that we can bring to you guys to continue to listen in and to continue to get information that we have to deliver to you guys. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe on our CSM Bluff Line podcast as we continue to push this forward. Tell your buddies, tell your friends, tell everybody to listen in, and by all means, give us some comments on what you'd like to listen to or hear, or some subjects you'd like to talk about. Thank you guys again for tuning in to the CSM Bluff Line.